Tamil Nadu ki Shri Radha Giridhari ki jai. Shri Gaurnitai ki jai. Shri Advaita Acarya Prabhu ki jai. Holy Appearance Day of Shri Advaita Acarya Prabhu ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So today is the Holy Appearance Day of Shri Advaita Acarya. And thus we will read from Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 6. And that's a chapter which is entitled The Glories of Shri Advaita Acarya. So I'm just going to read and comment, and if anyone has any comments or questions at any time, just raise your hand and, you can speak. Because on these days we try to glorify these personalities who have appeared or disappeared or what have you. And in order for that glorification to really be, how do I say, like more genuine, one actually has to hear about them first. One has to know who they're glorifying and what are they glorifying them about and whatnot. So I'm sure tonight we'll hear from, I'm not sure who's speaking, Ratatwaj Maharaj perhaps, I'm not sure. But we'll hear more. So this is chapter 6, Glories of Shri Advaita Acarya. The truth of Advaita Acarya has been described in 2 verses. It is said that material nature has 2 features, namely the material cause and the efficient cause. The efficient causal activities are caused by Mahavishnu, and the material causal activities are caused by another form of Mahavishnu known as Advaita. That Advaita, the superintendent of the cosmic manifestation, has descended in the form of Advaita Acarya to associate with Lord Chaitanya. When he is addressed as the servitor of Lord Chaitanya, his glories are magnified, because unless one is invigorated by this mentality of servitorship, one cannot understand the mellows derived from devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. That was a very important sentence. I gotta fix this. This is like far out. That was an important sentence. Unless one is invigorated by this mentality of servitorship, one cannot understand the mellows derived from devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Because serving Krishna is not about us being the enjoyer like it is in the material world. The perverted mellows of the material world, the so-called rasa, the tastes of the material world, are derived from us thinking that we're the enjoyer, we're the controller, we're the enjoyer of matter. But the mellows of devotional service are only understood when one actually has the mentality of I am the servant. So to that extent of us actually having that mentality, that that full-on consciousness of I am Krishna's eternal servant, to that extent we can actually understand the mellows derived from Krishna consciousness. Text 1. Vande tam Srimad Advaita Charyam Adbhuta Cheshtitam Yasya Prasadad Agnyopi Tatsvarupam Nirupayet. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaita Acarya, whose activities are all wonderful. By his mercy, even a foolish person can describe his characteristics. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In 5 verses, I have described the principle of Lord Nityananda. Then in the following 2 verses, I describe the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. And these following 2 verses are those 2 verses. This is coming from the first chapter, the Mangala Charan, which Krishnadas Kaviraj writes. It glorifies Advaita Acharya in verses 12 and verses 13. But here it says, oh yeah, the following 2 verses, I see. Okay. Mahavishnur Jagat Karta Maya Ya Srjat Yada Tasya Vatara Evayam Advaita Acharya Ishvaraha. Translation: Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Text 5. Advaitam Harinadvaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Acharyam Ashraye. Translation: because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. Text 6. Sri Advaita Acharya is indeed directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. His glory is beyond the conception of ordinary living beings. Mahavishnu performs all the functions for the creation of the universes. Sri Advaita Acharya is his direct incarnation. That Purusha creates and maintains with his external energy. He creates innumerable universes in his pastimes. By his will, he manifests himself in unlimited forms, in which he enters each and every universe. Sri Advaita Acharya is a plenary part of that Purusha, and so is not different from him. Indeed, Sri Advaita Acharya is not separate, but is another form of that Purusha. He, Advaita Acharya, helps in the pastimes of the Purusha, with whose material energy and by whose will he creates innumerable universes. Text 12. Being a reservoir of all auspicious attributes, Sri Advaita Acharya is all auspicious for the world. His characteristics, activities, and name are always auspicious. Purport. Sri Advaita Prabhu, who is an incarnation of Mahavishnu, is an Acharya or teacher. All his activities and all the other activities of Vishnu are auspicious. Anyone who can view the all-auspiciousness in the pastimes of Lord Vishnu also becomes auspicious simultaneously. Therefore, since Lord Vishnu is the fountainhead of auspiciousness, anyone who is attracted by the devotional service of Lord Vishnu can render the greatest service to human society. Rejected persons of the material world who refuse to understand pure devotional service as the eternal function of the living entities and as actual liberation of the living being from conditioned life become bereft of all devotional service because of their poor fund of knowledge. In the teachings of Advaita Prabhu, there is no question of fruitive activities or impersonal liberation. Bewildered by the spell of the material energy, however, persons who could not understand that Advaita Prabhu is non-different from Vishnu wanted to follow him with their impersonal conceptions. The attempt of Advaita Prabhu to punish them is also auspicious. Lord Vishnu and his activities can bestow all good fortune directly and indirectly. In other words, being favored by Lord Vishnu and being punished by Lord Vishnu are one and the same, because all the activities of Vishnu are absolute. According to some, Mangala was another name of Advaita Prabhu. As the causal incarnation, or Lord Vishnu's incarnation for a particular occasion, he is the supply agent or ingredient in material nature. However, he is never to be considered material. All his activities are spiritual. Anyone who hears about and glorifies him becomes glorified himself. For such activities, free one from all kinds of misfortune. One should not invest any material contamination or impersonalism in the Vishnu form. Everyone should try to understand the real identity of Lord Vishnu, for by such knowledge one can attain the highest stage of perfection. Everyone's following so far what's going on? Sort of. Advaita Acarya is in the Vishnu Tattva category. So he's actually Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is an expansion of 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 Krishna, basically. And so, just as all the... You have a question? Okay, go ahead. I was just going to say, as just as, all the associates in the Vraj Leela take a incarnation in Gaura Leela, similarly, Lord Krishna's Vishnu expansions also incarnate in the Gaura Leela. So Mahavishnu is Advaita Acharya. Yeah.
So this is the same Mahavishnu that that stole the kids of the Brahmana, who Krishna and Arjuna went to go return.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it gets a little more technical. This stuff's really technical. We're going to read a purport next that's super technical stuff, but yeah, let's hear a little more. Text 13. Mahavishnu creates the entire material world with millions of his parts, energies, and incarnations. Koti Amsha, Koti Shakti, Koti Avatar. Millions of his Amshas, parts, millions of his energies, and millions of his avatars, incarnations. 14 and 15. Buckle up. Just as the external energy consists of two parts, the efficient cause, nimitta, and the material cause, upadana, Maya being the efficient cause and pradhan the material cause. Okay. So Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the material world with the efficient and material causes. Now this is a very long purport. Anyways, I guess I'll try to read it. Okay, purport. There are two kinds of research to find the original cause of creation. One conclusion is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-blissful, eternal, all-knowing form, is indirectly the cause of this cosmic manifestation, and directly the cause of the spiritual world, where there are innumerable spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, as well as his personal abode known as Goloka Vrindavan. In other words, there are two manifestations, the material cosmos and the spiritual world. As in the material world, there are innumerable planets and universes. So in the spiritual world, there are also innumerable spiritual planets and universes, including the Vaikunthas and Goloka. The Supreme Lord is the cause of both the material and spiritual worlds. The other conclusion, of course, is that this cosmic manifestation is caused by an inexplicable, unmanifested void. This argument is meaningless. Well, when you put it like that, it's pretty obvious. Okay, the first conclusion is accepted by the Vedanta philosophers, and the second is supported by the atheistic philosophical system of the Sankhya Smriti, which directly opposes the Vedantic philosophical conclusion. Material scientists cannot see any cognizant spiritual substance that might be the cause of the creation. Such atheistic Sankhya philosophers think that the symptoms of knowledge and living force visible in the innumerable living creatures are caused by the three qualities of the cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the Sankhites are against the conclusion of Vedanta regarding the original cause of creation. Life comes from life, essentially. Factually, the Supreme Absolute Spirit Soul is the cause of every kind of manifestation. And he is always complete, both as the energy and as the energetic. The cosmic manifestation is caused by the energy of the Supreme Absolute Person, in whom all energies are conserved. Philosophers who are subjectively engaged in the cosmic manifestation can appreciate only the wonderful energies of matter. Such philosophers accept the conception of God only as a product of the material energy. Sometimes people reason like that this whole religion, this whole theology, God, this has come from when, like the cavemen or the monkeys or whatever, primitive man was, they have so many theories actually, how they somehow, this concept of God was evolved. It was part of an evolution process actually. That's what they say. So that's what Prabhupada's referring to here, is that these types of atheistic philosophers, material atheistic scientists, they appreciate only they accept the conception of God only as a product of the material energy. According to their conclusions, the source of the energy is also a product of the energy. So that doesn't make sense. Such philosophers wrongly observe that the living creatures within the cosmic manifestation are caused by the material energy, and they think that the Supreme Absolute Conscious Being must similarly be a product of the material energy. So they consider matter supreme. What is it? The Shaktas. That's, worship of the energy, of material energy as being supreme, even above Vishnu. Since materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engaged with their imperfect senses, naturally they conclude that the living force is a product of a material combination. But the actual fact is just the opposite. Matter is a product of spirit. According to the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead, is the source of all energies. Etadyoni nibhutani, what is that verse? Samstab yatmana matmana? No, I'm sorry, it's a different verse. 7:6. Krishna kind of show, or Matas, how's it go? 7:7 in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remember? This is what Prabhupada's referring to here. Mata parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre maniganaiva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So all the energies, everything's that Krishna's the basis actually of all the various energies. Also aham sarvasya prabhava, so on. When one advances in research work by studying a limited substance within the limits of space and time, one is amazed by the various wonderful cosmic manifestations. And naturally, one goes on hypnotically accepting the path of research work or the inductive method. When one advances in research work by studying a limited substance within the limits of space and time, one is amazed by the various wonderful cosmic manifestations. And naturally, one goes on hypnotically accepting the path of research work or the inductive method. Through the deductive way of understanding, however, one accepts the Supreme Absolute Person, the personality of Godhead, as the cause of all causes, who is full with diverse energies, and who is neither impersonal nor void. That sentence brought to mind how there's always the latest discovery. It's always changing. Pluto was a planet, now it's not. They've discovered this about dark matter, and then it changed. They're, the God particle, what is that? All this material science is based on speculation. And speculation is based off of having imperfect senses, the tendency to make mistakes, being illusioned, and being a cheater. This type of speculation that's being, literally being hypnotized, that people are being hypnotized by, it's like a certain type of intoxication. It's like a certain type of sense gratification. Every time they find something, like we heard from Kripamoya Prabhu the other day, that they saw some sort of that radio telescope, they got some message, and that about everyone went into this material ecstasy. These scientists, who cares? It had no meaning basically. In the easy journey to other planets, also there's that picture. Prabhupada says that. What's the value of spending billions and billions and billions of dollars, when you get like a rock, all you brought back was a rock. And they got a picture of like these people in a museum with this rock, a moon rock under glass, and the little, what do you call not a caption, but the, like a plaque with a caption on it to that exhibit saying, "We'd like to thank the American public for their generous, the taxpayers' contribution of, $28.6 billion to get this valuable, whatever, relic of the moon." So it's basically useless. But people are, whatever, they're having so much fun. They're just, it's just, like, this is what mental speculation is. It's like the sense gratification, just as there's gross sense gratification of the senses. What can the senses? So the sense gratification of, I've discovered, or I've invented, or what's next? What is the truth? Actually, people have said, Devaramrita Swami says something funny. He said that he met someone who sat in one of his classes, a student or something like that, and after the class he said, what'd you think? And he said, that was a lot of answers, as if that was a bad thing to have, all of the questions about life and reality answered was like something you're not supposed to do. And you meet people on books like that. They argue with you that you can't figure anything out, actually. Everything's a mystery. The mystery of life. It's inexplicable. You cannot figure out. You cannot say so concretely what is the purpose of life and who are you and is there a God? Impossible. But no, that's the inductive path, which there is never a conclusion to and is completely flawed from the beginning. But the deductive path, the deductive way of understanding, one accepts the Supreme Absolute Person as the cause of all causes, who is full with diverse energies, and who is neither impersonal nor void. So deduction means we hear from an authority. It's the only way of actually acquiring true knowledge. Because with the inductive path, one will always question. There's always a question mark. Like there's this logical exercise in logic that's done by some philosophers, Western philosophers, that you try to prove that there's no black swan. There's no such thing as a black swan, or like a turquoise hippopotamus, whatever you want to speculate that there's no such thing. So you can travel the entire world, you can travel the entire universe, if you could. You can't do either of those really in this body. But let's say you could, still, because of the inductive path, there's still the question mark that maybe I missed something. Maybe it was hiding. Maybe I couldn't find it. There's always that guess that based on our current evidence, it's like this. But because the evidence is subject to changing, the conclusion may change. Therefore, inductive reasoning is never conclusive by definition. It's not just we're saying that because we're against mental speculation. It's just even philosophers of logic have concluded that the inductive method can never prove to be conclusive. So the only way of acquiring true knowledge in any field is through deduction, is hearing through an authority. So we're so fortunate that we have such an infallible source of knowledge with Prabhupada's books. Okay, continuing. Any questions, comments so far? Anything? Okay. The impersonal manifestation of the Supreme Person is another display of his energy. Therefore, the conclusion that matter is the original cause of creation is completely different from the real truth. The material manifestation is caused by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is inconceivably potent. I just wanted to say one more comment that, I forget who said it the other day. We were hearing from, I don't remember who we heard from, but we said since these great personalities, I think we were talking about Raghunath Das Goswami or someone, that these great personalities, they took shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they took to Krishna consciousness, and how great are these personalities? So it gives us some faith that, wow, if they're doing it, it must be right. So that's kind of like accepting an authority. So Prabhupada here says so much with such conviction, such confidence. Therefore, the conclusion that matter is the original cause of creation is completely different from the real truth. Just hearing that one sentence, I feel like it must be true, because Prabhupada's so confident and convicted. Because if you have faith in the person, and these persons are infallible, they're pure devotees. So a pure devotee is not subject to the material defects, these 4 material defects. So we can really take shelter there. We can really surrender. The material manifestation is caused by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is inconceivably potent. Material nature is electrified by the supreme authority, and the conditioned soul, within the limits of time and space, is trapped by awe of the material manifestation. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually realized in the vision of a material philosopher and scientist through the manifestations of his material energy. For one who does not understand the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his diverse energies, because of not knowing the relationship between the source of the energies and the energies themselves, there is always a chance of error, which is known as vivarta. As long as materialistic scientists and philosophers do not come to the right conclusion, certainly they will hover above the material field, bereft of proper understanding of the absolute truth. The great Vaishnava philosopher Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan has very nicely explained the materialistic conclusion in his Govinda Bhashya, a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. He writes as follows. Now this is Baladev Vidyabhushan. The next few paragraphs are him giving the, how do you call it, the Parokshavad? The counter-argument to the Vedanta? I figured out what the right word is. Anyways, he's giving the antithesis, and then he's gonna prove it wrong. Arguments are always strong. If you can say the way something is, that's good. But to say how it's also not those other things, that's even better. That's even stronger of an argument. So this is what our acharyas have done so exhaustively, especially in this commentary, the Vedanta Sutra. I looked at it. I'm not ready for that yet. It's a little bit too technical. It's going through so much logic. Okay, so this is Baladev Vidyabhushan arguing. Remember, this is him arguing on behalf of the atheists. He's taking the devil's advocate sort of thing. So just remember that. Maybe if this sounds a little funny to you. The Sankhya philosopher Kapila has connected the different elementary rules according to his own opinion. Material nature, according to him, consists of the equilibrium of three material qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Material nature produces the material energy, known as Mahat, and Mahat produces the false ego. The ego produces the 5 objects of sense perception, which produce the 10 senses. 5 for acquiring knowledge and 5 for working, the mind and the 5 gross elements. Counting the Purusha, or the enjoyer, with these 24 elements, there are 25 different truths. The non-manifested stage of these 25 elementary truths is called Prakriti, or material nature. The qualities of material nature can associate in 3 different stages, namely as the cause of happiness, the cause of distress, and the cause of illusion. The quality of goodness is the cause of material happiness. The quality of passion is the cause of material distress. And the quality of ignorance is the cause of material illusion. Our material experience lies within the boundaries of these three manifestations of happiness, distress, and illusion. For example, a beautiful woman is certainly a cause of material happiness for one who possesses her as a wife. But the same beautiful woman is a cause of distress to a man whom she rejects, or who is the cause of her anger. And if she leaves a man, she becomes the cause of illusion. The 2 kinds of senses are the 10 external senses, and the 1 internal sense, the mind. Thus there are 11 senses. According to Kapila, this is not Kapila Muni, Devahuti's son. This is not the incarnation of Kapila, teachings of Lord Kapila. This is different. This is an atheistic philosopher who also named himself Kapila and gave his Sankhya version, which was atheistic. According to Kapila, material nature is eternal and all-powerful. Originally, there is no spirit, and matter has no cause. So that just doesn't make sense. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. You just think about that. That doesn't make sense. But that's their Sambandha Gyan. That's their axiomatic, ontological view of the universe, is that matter is supreme. Matter itself is the chief cause of everything. It is the all-pervading cause of all causes. The Sankhya philosophy regards the total energy, Mahat Tattva, the false ego, and the 5 objects of sense perception as the 7 diverse manifestations of material nature, which has 2 features, known as the material cause and efficient cause. The Purusha, the enjoyer, is without transformation, whereas material nature is always subject to transformation. But although material nature is inert, it is the cause of enjoyment and salvation for many living creatures. Its activities are beyond the conception of sense perception, but still one may guess at them by superior intelligence. Material nature is one, but because of the interaction of the 3 qualities, it can produce the total energy and the wonderful cosmic manifestation. Such transformations divide material nature into 2 features, namely the efficient and material causes. The Purusha, the enjoyer, is inactive and without material qualities, although at the same time he is the master, existing separately in each and every body as the emblem of knowledge. By understanding the material cause, one can guess at that Purusha, the enjoyer, being without activity, is aloof from all kinds of enjoyment or superintendence. Sankhya philosophy, after describing the nature of Prakriti and Purusha, asserts that the creation is only a product of their unification or proximity to one another. With such unification, the living symptoms are visible in material nature. But one can guess that in the person of the enjoyer, the Purusha, there are powers of control and enjoyment. When the Purusha is illusioned for want of sufficient knowledge, he feels himself to be the enjoyer, and when he is in full knowledge, he is liberated. In the Sankhya philosophy, the Purusha is described to be always indifferent to the activities of Prakriti. The Sankhya philosopher accepts 3 kinds of evidences, namely direct perception, hypothesis, and traditional authority. When such evidence is complete, everything is perfect. The process of comparison is within such perfection. Beyond such evidence, there is no proof. There is not much controversy regarding direct perceptual evidence or authorized traditional evidence. The Sankhya system of philosophy identifies 3 kinds of procedures, namely parinamat, transformation, samanvayat, adjustment, and shaktitaha, performance of energies, as the causes of the cosmic manifestation. So that was the atheistic Sankhyites' philosophy. It didn't really make sense. I mean, I read it kind of fast because it was very technical stuff, and we don't have much time. But in any case, we should understand that there was some misconceptions within that. And so now Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan is going to smash that in his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. He's tried to nullify this conclusion because he thinks that discrediting these so-called causes of the cosmic manifestation will nullify the entire Sankhya philosophy. Materialistic philosophers accept matter to be the material and efficient cause of creation. For them, matter is the cause of every type of manifestation. Generally, they give the example that a water pot and clay, that of a water pot and clay. Clay is the cause of the water pot. But the clay can be found as both the cause and effect. The water pot is the effect, and clay itself is the cause, but clay is visible everywhere. A tree is matter, but a tree produces fruit. Water is matter, but water flows. In this way, say the Sankhyites, matter is the cause of movements and production. As such, matter can be considered the material and efficient causes of everything in the cosmic manifestation. So Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has therefore enunciated the nature of pradhan as follows. Material nature is inert, and as such, it cannot be the cause of matter, neither as the material nor the efficient cause. Seeing the wonderful arrangement and management of the cosmic manifestation generally suggests that a living brain is behind this arrangement. For without a living brain, such an arrangement could not exist. One should not imagine that such an arrangement can exist without conscious direction. In our practical experience, we never see that inert bricks can themselves construct a big building. We've never seen that. I've never seen that. The example of the water pot cannot be accepted because a water pot has no perception of pleasure and distress. Such perception is within. Therefore, the covering body or the water pot cannot be synchronized with it. Sometimes the material scientist suggests that trees grow from the earth automatically without assistance from a gardener, because that is a tendency of matter. They also consider the intuition of living creatures from birth to be material. But such material tendencies as bodily intuition cannot be accepted as independent, for they suggest the existence of the spirit soul within the body. Actually, neither the tree nor any other body of a living creature has any tendency or intuition. The tendency and intuition exist because the soul is present within the body. In this connection, the example of a car and driver may be given very profitably. The car has a tendency to turn right and left, but one cannot say that the car itself, as matter, turns right and left without the direction of a driver. A material car has neither tendencies nor intuitions independent of the intentions of the driver within the car. The same principle applies for the automatic growth of trees in the forest. The growth takes place because of the soul's presence within the tree. Sometimes foolish people take it for granted that because scorpions are born from heaps of rice, the rice has produced the scorpions. The real fact, however, is the mother scorpion lays eggs within the rice, and by the proper fermentation of the rice, the eggs give birth to several baby scorpions, which in due course come out. How cute, baby scorpions. I've been stung by baby scorpions before in Arizona. They're very painful. They don't know how to release their venom, so they just release it all. Anyways. This does not mean that the rice gives birth to the scorpions. Similarly, sometimes bugs are seen to come from dirty beds. Like bed bugs? We gotta wash our sleeping beds, huh? This does not mean, however, that the beds give birth to the bugs. It is the living soul that comes forth, taking advantage of the dirty condition of the bed. There are different kinds of living creatures. Some of them come from embryos, some from eggs, and some from fermentation of perspiration. Different living creatures have different sources of appearance, but one should not conclude that matter produces such living entities. The example cited by materialists that trees automatically come from the earth follows the same principle. Taking advantage of a certain condition, a living entity comes from the earth. According to the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, every living being is forced by divine superintendence to take a certain type of body, according to his past deeds. There are many varieties of bodies, and because of a divine arrangement, a living entity takes bodies of different shapes. Because of divine arrangement, a living entity takes bodies of different shapes. When a person thinks, I am doing this, the I am does not refer to the body. It refers to something more than the body, or within the body. Wow, that's profound. I mean, I'm glad we're hearing this, because honestly, to hear that matter is not the source, and God's the source, and that we're not the body, is kind of important to hear, because I still walk around with the conception that I'm the body, and, God's just totally out of the picture of my reality. So it's kind of nice to hear this, again, with such proofs again and again. Just it's like just jabbing the false ego, jabbing the materialistic intelligence, so we can actually have proper sambandha. When a person thinks, I am doing this, like everyone's sleeping in the class, I am sleeping, when you think that, the I am does not refer to the body. So actually you're not sleeping, the body is. It refers to something more than the body or within the body. As such, the body as it is has neither tendencies nor intuition. The tendencies and intuition belong to the soul within the body. Material scientists sometimes suggest that the tendencies of male and female bodies cause their union, and that this is the cause of the birth of the child. But since the Purusha, according to Sankhya philosophy, is always unaffected, where does the tendency to give birth come from? Sometimes material scientists give the example that milk turns into curd automatically, curd meaning yogurt, and that distilled water pouring from the clouds falls down to earth, produces different kinds of trees, and enters different kinds of flowers and fruits with different fragrances and tastes. Therefore, they say, matter produces varieties of material things on its own. In reply to this argument, the same proposition of the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, that different kinds of living creatures are put into different kinds of bodies by the management of a superior power, is repeated. Under superior superintendence, various souls, according to their past activities, are given the chance to take a particular type of body, such as that of a tree, animal, bird, or beast, and thus their different tendencies develop under these circumstances. The Bhagavad Gita 13.22 also further affirms, Purusha prakritisto hi, punkte prakritijan gunan, karanam gunasangosya sarasadyoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. The soul is given different types of bodies. For example, were souls not given varieties of tree bodies, the different varieties of fruits and flowers could not be produced. Each class of tree produces a particular kind of fruit and flower. It is not that there is no distinction between the different classes. An individual tree does not produce flowers of different colors or fruits of different tastes. There are demarcated classes as we find them among humans, animals, birds, and other species. There are innumerable living entities, and their activities performed in the material world according to the different qualities of the material modes of nature give them the chance to have different kinds of lives. Thus one should understand that pradhan, matter, cannot act unless impelled by a living creature. That's the essential point we got to understand here. The materialistic theory that matter independently acts cannot therefore be accepted. Matter is called prakriti, which refers to female energy. A woman is prakriti, a female. A female cannot produce a child without the association of a purusha, a man. The purusha causes the birth of a child because the man injects the soul, which is sheltered in the semen, into the womb of the woman. The woman, as the material cause, supplies the body of the soul, and as the efficient cause, she gives birth to the child. But although the woman appears to be the material and efficient cause of the birth of a child, originally the Purusha, the male, is the cause of the child. Similarly, this material world gives rise to varieties of manifestations due to the entrance of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu within the universe. He is present not only within the universe, but within the bodies of all living creatures, as well as within the atom. We understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Supersoul is present within the universe, within the atom, and within the heart of every living creature. Therefore, the theory that matter is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation cannot be accepted by any man with sufficient knowledge of matter and spirit. Materialists sometimes give the argument that as straw eaten by a cow, now this is an interesting argument, that as straw eaten by a cow produces milk automatically, so material nature, under different circumstances, produces varieties of manifestations. Thus, originally, matter is the cause. In refuting this argument, we may say that an animal of the same species as the cow, namely the bull, also eats straw like the cow, but does not produce milk. Under the circumstances, it cannot be said that straw in connection with a particular species produces milk. The conclusion should be that there is superior management, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10, where the Lord says, Maya dakshana prakriti suyate sacharacharam. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. Supreme Lord says, Maya dakshana, under my superintendence. When he desires that the cow produce milk by eating straw, there is milk. And when he does not so desire it, the mixture of such straw cannot produce milk. If the way of material nature had been that straw produced milk, a stack of straw could also produce milk. But that is not possible. And the same straw given to a human female also cannot produce milk. That is the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita's statement that only under superior orders does anything take place. Matter itself has no power to produce independently. The conclusion, therefore, is that matter which has no self-knowledge cannot be the cause of the material creation. The ultimate creator is the Supreme Personality of God. Because the argument of the atheistic Sankhyates was that there's the Purusha and Prakriti, there's this innate tendency and intuition in material forms to do that stuff. But that was disproven because it's not consistent. What shows that the straw should produce milk? It's the Lord's arrangement only. That a cow produces milk is under superior direction, and it's not a product of just random material intuition. What is intuition? Intuition doesn't make sense. If we say, my intuition, that means super soul in the heart. We don't even have intuition that's apart from super soul. So this was a very long purport. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I'll finish it because we only have a page left. And then I'll say one or two words. By words, I mean sentences. And then if there's questions or comments, it's kind of nice. Advaita Acarya is that Mahavishnu. So Krishna in Goloka, he's he's in Goloka, he's enjoying. But he expands himself several times, and then Mahavishnu's the one who's actually the Aham Bija Prada Pita. He's the father of all the living. He's the seed-giving father of the material manifestation. So Advaita Acarya, that's who appeared today in Gora Lila, so many years ago. Okay, so just to finish this up, if matter were accepted as the original cause of creation, all the authorized scriptures in the world would be useless. For in every scripture, especially the Vedic scriptures like the Manu Smriti, the Supreme Personality of God is said to be the ultimate creator. The Manu Smriti is considered the highest Vedic direction to humanity. Manu is the giver of law to mankind. And in the Manu Smriti, it is clearly stated that before the creation, the entire universal space was darkness, without information and without variety, and was in a state of complete suspension like a dream. Everything was darkness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then entered the universal space, and although he is invisible, he created the visible cosmic manifestation. In the material world, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not manifested by his personal presence, but the presence of the cosmic manifestation in different varieties is the proof that everything has been created under his direction. He entered the universe with all creative potencies, and thus he removed the darkness of the unlimited space. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described to be transcendental, very subtle, eternal, all-pervading, inconceivable, and therefore non-manifested to the material senses of a conditioned living creature. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. He desired to expand himself into many living creatures, and with such a desire he first created a vast expanse of water within the universal space, and then impregnated that water with living entities. By that process of impregnation, a massive body appeared, blazing like 1,000 suns, and in that body was the first creative principle, Brahma. The great Parashara Rishi has confirmed this in the Vishnu Purana. He says that the cosmic manifestation visible to us is produced from Lord Vishnu and sustained under his protection. He is the principal maintainer and destroyer of the universal form. This cosmic manifestation is one of the diverse energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a spider secretes saliva and weaves a web by its own movements, but at the end winds up the web within its body, so Lord Vishnu produces this cosmic manifestation from his transcendental body, and at the end winds it up within himself. All the great sages of the Vedic understanding have accepted the Supreme Personality of God that the Supreme Personality of God is the original creator. It is sometimes claimed that the impersonal speculations of great philosophers are meant for the advancement of knowledge, without religious ritualistic principles. But the religious ritualistic principles are actually meant for the advancement of spiritual knowledge. By performance of religious rituals, one ultimately reaches the supreme goal of knowledge, by understanding that Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. It is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that even those who are advocates of knowledge alone, without any religious ritualistic processes, advance in knowledge after many, many lifetimes of speculation, and thus come to the conclusion that Vasudeva is the supreme cause of everything that be. As a result of this achievement of the goal of life, such an advanced learned scholar or philosopher surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Religious ritualistic performances are actually meant to cleanse the contaminated mind in the material world. And the special feature of this age of Kali is that one can easily execute the process of cleansing the mind of contamination by chanting the holy names of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A Vedic injunction states, Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amananti. Kata Upanishad 1.2.15. All Vedic knowledge is searching after the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, another Vedic injunction states, Narayana Para Veda. The Vedas are meant for understanding Narayana, the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita also confirms, Vedaishta Sarvairahameva Vidya. By all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. Therefore, the main purpose of understanding the Vedas, performing Vedic sacrifices, and speculating on the Vedanta Sutra is to understand Krishna. Accepting the impersonalist view of voidness, or the non-existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, negates all study of the Vedas. Impersonal speculation aims at disproving the conclusion of the Vedas. Therefore, any impersonal speculative presentation should be understood to be against the principles of the Vedas, or standard scriptures. Since the speculation of the impersonalist does not follow the principles of the Vedas, their conclusion must be considered to be against the Vedic principles. Anything not supported by the Vedic principles must be considered imaginary and lacking in standard proof. Therefore, no impersonalist explanation of any Vedic literature can be accepted. There was this pastime, we'll end with this, where Advaita Acharya wanted to gain the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Advaita Acharya appeared in the world many decades before Lord Chaitanya. And so Lord Chaitanya accepted him as his senior. So he'd always bow down to him and treat him like a spiritual master. But Advaita Acharya, knowing the identity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was very difficult for him to tolerate that. It's like if your guru bows down to you and serves you and stuff, it's hard to tolerate that. Because you're supposed to be the servant. You're supposed to have the servant mentality. So if they're serving you, that means something's wrong. Or at least if you think like that. So devotees are always humble. So Advaita Acharya devised the means by which he would actually show the world that actually he's the servant of Lord Chaitanya and not the other way around. So he was a teacher, and in his class of Bhagavad Gita, I guess, he started speaking he started saying how Gyan, speculative knowledge, is higher than Bhakti. We just heard a paragraph here about how speculating on Vedanta Sutra is actually, the end of that is to know Krishna. Vedaisya sarvaham eva vidya. So Bhakti is the conclusion of all the Vedas. But Advaita Acharya started teaching that no, Gyan is impersonal speculation. And so the students kind of got alarmed and ran and told Lord Chaitanya that, Advaita Acharya is saying that, Gyan is higher than Bhakti. And Lord Chaitanya, of course, being the Yuga avatar and defender of the religious principles and the conclusions of the Bhakti, is here to establish the actual conclusion of the Vedic teachings and the conclusions of Dharma, that Bhakti is supreme. He went to chastise Advaita Acharya. And he went in the classroom and, asked, "Oh, Acharya, so tell me, what is better, Gyan or Bhakti?" And Advaita Acharya said that, Gyan is better. And so Lord Chaitanya started beating him up. And his wife was there, Sita Devi, and she started pleading with Lord Chaitanya that, "My husband's an old man, how can you do this?" But Advaita Acharya was in absolute ecstasy. He was experiencing the Ashta Sattvika Vichar, the ecstatic transformations of the body, hair standing on end, tears coming from the eyes, trembling, perspiration, and all that. Because he was, and what was he crying out? He was saying, basically that now the world knows who is the Lord and who is the servant. And Lord Chaitanya was very pleased. Lord Chaitanya was just trying to reciprocate with him. So there's so many pastimes actually with Advaita Acharya. I hope we read them today. I should have thought of that. Bring in a Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's so many pastimes actually that hopefully tonight we'll hear. But that was one that was related to what we just read. That actually Advaita Acharya was here to establish that Bhakti is greater than Gyan. And this pastime, he switched it just to show how Lord Chaitanya is superior to him. So any concluding questions or thoughts or glorifications of Advaita Acharya? Everyone... Huh? No, because Sada Shiva is that glance of Vishnu, and that glance is. I've never heard that he's been termed Shiva Tattva. I've only heard Vishnu Tattva, but it is said in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that he's an incarnation of Lord Shiva. But that understanding is that Shiva is the Sada Shiva. Before he touches material nature, that glance of Vishnu is called Sada Shiva, and it is his own person. But it's, like I said, it's kind of a technical thing. It gets very technical, understanding the tattva. I've never heard the term Shiva Tattva used in connection with Advaita Acharya. I've heard that he's an incarnation of Lord Shiva, but then Krishnadas Kaviraj, pretty much throughout the CC, he exclusively says Vishnu Tattva, exclusively. So that's what I've heard. Huh? The computer virus? What?
He said computer virus, does it come from matter or living thing? Computer virus.
A computer virus? It's, yeah, the ultimate cause is a person, These hackers on their, yeah, of course. So, I don't know, is that correct, Radhakrishna Prabhu? I mean, you can add, I don't know, I've never heard Shiva Tattva being, that terminology. I know that he's said he's an incarnation of Sada Shiva in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, but I've never heard Shiva Tattva.
Yeah, pretty much. He's a combination of Shiva and Mahavishnu, like that.
So he's actually, so would it be correct to say then that he's a combination of Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva?
I'm not going to put myself there, but that's what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard it explicated exactly like that, so I don't know if explicating it like that has further implications that, people can take and run with. I don't know, but I just try to repeat whatever these books say and we come to our own thoughts on it, I guess. Okay, Shri Advaita Acharya Prabhu Ki Jai. Holy Appearance Day of Shri Advaita Acharya Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasundavyacha Paritnam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Antave Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai.